Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a chat with Matt. Today I'm joined by one of Toronto's hottest bands, MONOWHALES. What's going on, y'all?
What's happening, dude?
Today I'm joined by Jordan, Zach, and Sally. I just wanted to talk to you guys because I had Jordan on way back when the show started in April of last year, and now it's kind of full circle having all of you here, which is good to see. So talk to me about what's been happening for the past year in quarantine.
Hit it. Hit it.
That's me. What have we been doing? This is sorry. First of all, it's been a mistake that I have a spinny chair for this interview. I'm sorry. Starting it off on a.
Oh, I could join you on that.
I also have a spinny chair, so that's okay.
Here we go. Now
Hey.
that we've established that we're 5 this year.
6, thank you, but that's fine.
Derailed.
No, it's been can I swear?
Yeah, say whatever you want.
It's been fucked, man.
Okay, great.
But it's also been like fucking great. Also, you know?
How's it been both? How's it been fucking terrible and fucking great?
Well, music is essentially shut down everywhere, like live music in a lot of ways. And that's the saddest thing of all, because that's what we love to do more than anything. So we were really excited to be out on the road and doing what we love again. So that is a bummer. We are bummed about that. But we're stoked to be putting out music that people like. And we're going, as you can see, we told you we've been writing all day. We just are happy to keep going. I'm happy to see all the innovation happening in music, and the fact that we are innovating in a bit as a band to be like, let's write digitally has brought new, like, I think that our songs are going to be different now because that we've been having this new way to write and stuff. So I think it's an interesting year, and it's been a positive one for the MONOWHALES. Like, things have sucked, but also I think it's been a positive one for us. What do you guys think?
I agree.
Yeah, I agree too.
Yeah, I think having a bit of having time to step away, that's not something you usually get when you're trying to make a go of it as a band. You know, it's kind of just like go, go, go. You don't really get a pause.
Well,
so if you're able to make the most of it, it's all right. Especially
in the genre that you guys are in, because of the way the scene was working for X amount of years, especially lately, it was a lot of breaking your back on the road, getting your name into different markets and trying to expand yourselves in different areas. But now, especially what I've seen you guys doing is you've been innovating in the way in which, one, you did the live stream show in Macombo, which, by the way, how was that? Because that looked a lot of fun.
It was pretty cool.
So good.
Yeah, and doing those kinds of things, and just also, and it's like Jordan, you kind of mentioned there, it's taking time to really think and reflect about what you guys are doing, how you guys are putting out. It's just it's been a blessing and a curse that you've been able to assess everything as you're putting it out, as opposed to, okay, cool, we have a fuck ton of tour dates and we have a week to write our next album, which is a struggle I hear a lot of bands go through.
No, for sure, man.
But what's been the biggest struggle that you guys have been dealing with through all this?
I think we all really feel the pain when we're not playing. Like, there's a certain side of us that we need the nourishment of getting on stage. So not having that is at least for me, I a piece of me is just missing all year. But I don't know if that's the same.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think another piece of me that's missing, for talking about pieces, is the fact that I also, other than playing shows, I go to shows all so much, if not every day, I'm at a different show, many shows per night. So that's another thing that's really important to me, is music and seeing music in general. It's a part of what, not just playing is one thing and it's so sad and it sucks, but not being able to see it as well, that's killing me. And there's so much love and inspiration that comes from that, and it's sucked dry right now. And you take what you can get. I'm really thankful for people that are doing live streams. I watch them as much as I can, and I've been listening to anything they put out, but it's not the same as being in the room. And I think it's almost been a year, right? And lame thing that I do is I check Instagram for like my stories. Like, what did I do last year when things were before the COVID times? And it's always like a different show. And then I know that the day's going to come that I think it was like near March when things shut down. And I saw Samir Cash, and that was like the last show that I was out at the Burdock, and it was a weird night. I don't know if everyone experienced it, but everyone was like, are we supposed to be here? It was like not a shutdown yet, but everyone was sketchy. And then it was this weird feeling in the room of no one like being near each other in case. And then at the end I was talking to Samir, and it's like, we'll see when we'll see each other again. He was having a smoke. And that's like the most surreal moment. I think once that day comes, like that year anniversary, that's going to solidify some sadness. More sadness. I don't mean to make this interview sad. I'm just sad about it.
Listen, life is sad. There's nothing wrong with a little sadness. When there's sadness, there's also comes hope at some fucking point. Don't know when, but eventually.
And we're waiting. We're like waiting for that light at the end of the tunnel, because as soon as there's hope and it's safe, we're like out there.
Zach, any thoughts?
Yeah, all of the above, along with, I forgot what the question was actually now. We've gone pretty far. My reflection of the year.
What makes you sad is essentially the question.
What makes me sad this whole year? Not being able to play shows kind of takes away the direct reward we get just for all the work we do, because that's such a foundational part of what we are as a band. And that's when you get to interact with the people that actually enjoy your music on a direct level and see like, oh, people like what I do. Maybe I should keep doing this. This is a good thing. So it's been tough. But I think like, the best part of the year is that we've been able to, in some ways, just keep on doing what we've been doing. And we were lucky that we already had some music recorded that we were ready to release. We're in a position where we are able to keep wheels turning, which is, I think it's very fortunate. It didn't just shut down the operation.
Yeah, and that's also the good thing is you guys were continually rolling through all this, because many bands, especially like a lot of bands in a variety of different positions, whether it's major label or indie, kind of got halted, or they kind of got completely fucked over by the fact that they couldn't go out and tour. And especially like the immediate mind always goes to Crownlands, how they had their debut record release, and all of a sudden they lost the ability to tour all over the world. And it's very sad to see. I'm just going to sip my tea sadly. To
be honest, I feel like we were actually in like the luckiest, like one of the most lucky positions, because we're not so big of a band that like if we had a tour scheduled, canceling it would like, we'd lose like $100,000 just on, costs for like techs and like all that stuff that we would have like brought on board. We're still pretty lean as a touring outfit. And then we're not so small that we're like starting from the ground up to just get the word out. We're kind of in this place where we can kind of make the most of it digitally and sort of just bide our time. So yeah, I think we're all pretty thankful that like we didn't get as screwed over as we could have.
No, absolutely. With the new kind of era in which MONOWHALES is entering, we're entering into Daytona Bleach. I shouted you guys out online because I love the album art. I think that looks really sick. The new songs are great. Everything, all the visual content looks really great. What's the main difference that you've noticed between this kind of era of where you're entering in the previous era?
Take it away, Zach.
Me? I think we've fine-tuned our attention to like a pop hook, and we've always been an eclectic band from day one, and we're still pushing boundaries within ourselves for broadcasting that eclecticism while still sounding like a band that is the same people. I hope, but I think a bit less raw rock and roll from the last record, a bit more pop excitement, but still a whole lot of fun.
And what about you all as individuals? How do you feel you've changed between the transformation from the last era to this one? Is there any mindset changes? Is there any way you're approaching songwriting differently, marketing differently, anything like that?
Yeah, I feel like there's no way I could recognize that person that I was anymore. Like when I
That's
think
a big one.
control freak, I'm really actually like happy about it. I'm happy that, and I don't know if everyone feels this way, but we've changed so much, and in terms of like growing as both musicians and writers, but I think even on a personal basis, it's just like a lot has happened since then. And whether we've had you know, breakups or move-ins and move like things like that, like things have changed a lot. And I think COVID even has like fast forwarded a lot of like mental health issues, but also the opportunity to work on those mental health issues because you have the time. So I don't know, let me know if I'm speaking for myself when I'm like, I'm so happy that we've come this far and that this album is so different, and I hope to continue to like look at the next album and be like, I don't know who that was, this is better. I just want to keep looking forward and have that mentality, and I think we're there so far.
Yeah, like the previous album was mostly written as like a band in a room, and a lot of this record started being more I guess like production focused and bringing in the band like after the fact, trying to replicate the parts sort of song per song basis, but we put in a lot more of sitting behind a laptop effort this time around.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely affected the sound.
And Jordan, what about you?
Yeah, I would mirror what Sally's saying, that like I feel like I'm a completely different person. I feel like Control Freak was like the first, it felt like the first time I had ever tried to write songs for real. And like I've been writing songs in bands since I was like 17, but it didn't feel the same. Like it didn't feel like there was actually a goal aside from like make there be music where there wasn't music before. Like that was the benchmark. And then with Control Freak, it was like try to do it well. And then going from that to where I am now, like just getting my reps in over the years, like I feel like I'm just like have leveled up so much as like a lyricist that it's like it's so much more fun, like working with the guys now, like even today, just being able to like put lyrics on a page really fast and stuff like that. It's just a completely different feeling, and like the level of, I guess, positivity that I can bring to that experience, or even like, I don't know, it was a pretty like leading into Control Freak, that was a pretty like miserable time in my life. That was like a rough time. And we've talked about that a lot in like interviews and shit. It was just like a pretty brutal time. So it just doesn't feel that way anymore. Like things are still hard. It's like we're in a pandemic or whatever, but I just feel, at least within myself, like a lot more at peace.
And what's kind of the message that's being brought with this new era? Because obviously you just mentioned that you dealt with a lot of shit. Things weren't great back then. What's kind of the message and mentality now going into this next phase?
I think what we captured on the record is like, it's just like a lot of the themes are like struggling against something. Like that pops up a lot. But Sally, I know you had something to say.
I didn't, but I will say something. Yeah, I think I was actually going to say there was a quote that you've said before that I really like, Jordan, about us. It was like about like struggle in a lot of our songs, but like you listen to our songs and you might not think at first that it's going to be something dark, or in our, you know, but our lyrics kind of do get that way sometimes. But I think I like that about our music. It's like you're listening, you're like, oh, this is a dance song, this is sick, and then you look into the lyrics and you're like, ah, oh, there's like something a bit more to it. I hate saying this, it makes me sound like, oh, we're so deep, and that's not what I mean at all. It's more just, it's not like there's more to just the face value of what maybe the upbeat music sounds like. We try to express what we feel in them.
But I feel like we also don't have to try, because it's really fucking hard for us to just write a song that's just like happy on its own. Like there's always this like darkness to it, even in like the fun ones. There's still like there's always like some element of like, but it's kind of fucked up a little bit.
But aren't those the best songs? The ones that have at least a bit of darkness, a bit of edge to it?
I think it makes for a well-rounded.
We like it.
We like darkness. Anyway, so we're going to take a quick music break right now, hear a word from our sponsor, Anchor, and then we'll be right back with MONOWHALES. We'll see you in a few.
Young and adulterated, life is R-rated, love equals sex, sex makes you famous, parents can't blame us, oh what a mess, to live for success, willing and able, both hands on the table, I can only choose. Fact or fable, throw out the rules, out with the old and in with the new. Out with the old and in with the new. Out with the old and in with the new. Out with the old and in with the. Out with the old and in with the. Out with the old and in with the. Young and adulterated, soon to be jaded. Go fund your excess, pursuits to impress. Teachers can't save us, judges can shame us, but I get the best. I'm here to confess, willing and able, both hands on the table. I can only choose. Fact or fable, throw out the rules, out with the old and in with the new. Out with the old and in with the new. Out with the old and in with the new. Out with the old and in with the. Out with the old and in with the. Out with the old and in with the new. There's black eyes and blue skies, but I just want a taste of better days. I try, got nothing left to lose. It's out with the old and in with the new. Out with the old and in with the new. Out with the old and in with the new. Out with the old and in with the. Out with the old and in with the. Out with the old and in with the new.
All right, welcome back from the music break, and thank you once again to Anchor for sponsoring this podcast. I kind of wanted to go a bit further back with you guys because I came across you guys. I think it was when that one video was going viral on Facebook, which I think a lot of people started picking you guys up then. Like, take me back to the beginning of MONOWHALES. Take me on a story. Take me on a path.
Take me down to the paradise city. I've been singing that all day. Where
Yeah,
do we?
every time we're asked this, it's like, okay, is it the real past or like the real past? Like how? So there's like
Give me the shit that you either haven't said or were too scared to say. I'm kidding.
I feel like we've said it at some point. It's like, do you want the beginning of MONOWHALES or the beginning of Ginger Ale and the MONOWHALES or the beginning of like high school, like Sally and I meeting?
Wherever you feel the story starts best.
I mean, we got an hour, so we might as well tell the story. Yeah, like the real beginning would have been probably me being conscripted into this band who was made up of friends of Sally's, and then meeting Sally at after one of that band's shows at a bonfire. Where was it? So
It was probably in North York somewhere.
Yeah, it's like Eglinton and something. Bonfire, met Sally, started seeing each other a lot, and then decided to go to music school. And then Sally got in and I got rejected, even though it was my idea to go. So that was a painful experience, but Sally's really good at singing. So she got into the school. They were like, no, dude, you can't come. But that was just like their little 1-year program, and then we both got into their their degree program right after, and that's where we met Zach. And then started playing as Ginger Ale and the Monowhales, doing like little club. Do you remember this? Do you know the Sister in Toronto?
Yep.
So we played. That was like our first show. Was at the Sister.
And how long ago was that?
I'm afraid to say. It would have been in like 2012 or something. Zach, you know.
Didn't want to jump in there. The first show was January 2013.
Okay, I was close.
Okay, what were we wearing, Zach?
I think I could dig up a picture and
What did you have for dinner that day?
What was the general atmosphere?
Family and friends.
Perfect.
Who was opening? I think Vonell opened for us, right?
Yeah.
It was Vonell the nursery.
Nursery played the second time we did the Sister.
Local Toronto bands as well. Some of them still here, some of them in the ether.
Yeah, so we were just jamming in this condemned building that I had a rehearsal space in, playing shows with Ginger Ale and Monowhales. And then, eventually, like, we put out an EP, we played a big show at the Garrison.
Before we go there, though, I want to highlight a moment that happened, and Zach and I have talked about this, where, so Jordan was in a bunch of bands, right? I don't think we've ever talked about this in an interview, but you were in a bunch
I don't even know what you're going to bring up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Perfect.
And I remember we were jamming, and then we were using the space, and then you stopped at the end of the rehearsal to like tell us, like, look, like, I'm in a bunch of other bands, so I can't really take this one like that seriously, like, I'm busy.
Yeah, you're like, this, I'm down to play drums for you guys. Whatever, no big deal. That's it.
Let me check my calendar kind of shit.
Yeah, I mean, what the fuck do you guys want from me? I
fucking for the rehearsal space.
What's that?
Oh, I said, and pay me for the rehearsal space.
Yeah, you better fucking pay for that. I was paying for that rehearsal space. No, it was I was in 2 bands and I was doing a music degree. Like, I was busy. These guys were like, we want to do fun, weird music. Like, you should have heard the shit we were playing back then. I was like, this isn't serious. I can't do this for real. And then now this is all I do.
We kept him, and this is his sole band now. This is, we made it. Anyways, go on.
They put a ring on it.
Because I think that is a really funny moment that happened in our history where we're glad to have you. Thank you for staying on board, Jordan. I'm just kidding. He's a huge part of this band. I don't want to belittle him in any way. But go on with the story. It was great.
Someone take over for me.
Zach, take over.
Well, Jordan left it at like, okay, I don't freaking know. We did some really exciting shit, and like, we packed the Garrison. There was a mosh pit. We were selling our records in these pop cans. We were basically the cream of the crop. Dan Burke was like, yo, get over here, play. Asky was like, you're in the shoe, now, go. And everyone was afraid of us. They didn't want to play shows with the Monowhales.
What made you
Sally's
think
like
people
over
were
here
afraid of
regretting
Monowhales?
asking Zach to fucking tell this story now. She's like, why did I ask this guy to do this?
Wait, why did they? First of all, yes, we are the DIY darlings back in the day. I feel like we're not that street cred anymore.
Long gone.
What is this note about not anyone wanting to play with us?
Let's see. What made people scared?
Yeah.
Let's see. Were you beating people up in the alley?
Bubbles, it was too friendly. I'm not telling a good story here. Anyways, we had a lot of fun, and then we got to that point of putting out Home, and that was a big turning point for the band. And that was the first time, kind of to Jordan's point where he said a little bit ago, we were really focused on writing a song. When we wrote Home, that song you were talking about, that we did that viral video, we took a song that Sally had brought in and basically tore it apart and rewrote a whole new song meticulously. Blood, sweat, and tears, all of that. And we put our A game on that and really focused on just delivering a song that we felt was the best we could do. And with the video that went along with that. And that was kind of a big level up period for us in terms of honing in on our craft. And that's kind of the transition time from Ginger Ale and the Monowhales to Monowhales.
So what was it about Home in that kind of period that transitioned you guys from Jordan casually saying, well, let me check my schedule, get back to you, to, okay, now let's get our shit together and let's roll?
It was like making a concerted effort to be recording artists, I think. Like to take seriously the fact that like we're not going into the studio to record shit we play live. We're gonna like write for the recording. Whereas before we were writing for our live shows. So the songs were like 5-6 minutes long sometimes. Big, long, like breakdown, bridge, guitar solo, like shit that's really hype live, but doesn't really carry on a recording. And then with Home and this one other track on that record called Name for Myself, that was like the first song. That was when I started writing grants. So I got us a grant and we were like, whoa, money. This is great. We should do stuff that gets us more of this. And then, so yeah, it was just taking what we were as a band from like a personality standpoint. And then rather than just like letting it run wild and doing fun shit that musicians like, it was more like, how do we take that and distill it into something that a fan is going to actually connect to? They're going to want to put this, play it on Spotify or whatever and actually like dig in.
You make the sound. Okay, I just want to clarify. This makes us sound really sellouty.
Yeah, I didn't feel it that way.
Just a little bit.
I don't think it sounded sellouty.
Well, there's a nature to selling out if you're trying to make money, I guess. But
who do we sell out to? Like nobody. Like we didn't work with anybody.
To the Peterborough Pride Festival. No, it wasn't. That was part of it, but it was also like typically we'd record a song in the studio and then after the fact be like, okay, how are we gonna work around what we have here and just make do with what we got? And this time around, it was also just about servicing the song and narrowing it down to a very specific intention and message. Every single lyric, check the dots of, yeah, this is conveying the story and the message that we want. Every part of the music really supporting that and not just being cool for cool's sake of like, well, I'm a guitar player, but like really supporting the music and building a track that carried it home, so.
Oh.
Bottom.
Took it there. Is that good? Are we killing you, Matthew?
I'm here having a great time. I had a long day and it's nice just to chill with a nice cup of tea and just listen to some stories.
I feel it's like all three of us, and I feel like we're like, okay, Jordan, I feel like I'm in a loopy mood, like Zach's in a loopy mood, and you just got us in like, this is like, you can ask us some weird shit, man. Like perfect. We're down.
I'll take my clothes off.
I mean, if you'd like to, you're more than welcome to.
It's a little chilly in here, to be honest.
I don't make any money on this, so go for it.
Okay.
I'm kind of curious now, from back then to now, what are some of the mistakes that you made that you would pass on to some of the next up and coming bands to make sure that they don't kind of fall into the same pitfalls that you guys may have discovered on the way?
Many. I think the biggest one, this is like a very vast one, is just really setting your intentions and your goals to something you want, and understanding, I guess, that this is a business you're doing, not just a fun thing you get together with your friends once a week to play music, and treating it that way. Like, I don't think anyone that wants to open a restaurant says, yeah, maybe like I'll have my friends over and we'll cook burgers on the weekends, and like, I don't know, blah blah blah. You're gonna treat it like a business, make a business plan, have proper artwork, do market research, blah, 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 yada, 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 and go get a loan maybe to open up your store and, give it your all rather than, sometimes, we've had membership changes, and that's often just because people realizing, oh, maybe I'm not cut out for this, so having the tricky part about a band is all being on the same page and being super committed. And that's a very hard thing to figure out.
It's a hard thing to find, honestly.
Too. So, and it's hard to operate when everyone's not on the same page too. So just being honest with yourselves is a big one. And that's a very hard thing, but I don't think a lot of, beginner bands, as we've all experienced, do that.
I think it has more to do with because I totally agree with you, but I think it has to do with like knowing what, it's not finding people who are committed, but it's finding people who know what commitment actually is. Because I feel like if you asked us at any moment, or asked any of our former members, for example, like over the course of the band's history, like, are you fully committed? Are you taking this seriously? They'd be like, yeah, of course I am. But they don't know what that actually means. And we didn't know what it meant over the years either. Like, we were learning what was required as time went on. Like, there are a lot of people who are like, yeah, I'm taking my band so seriously. I like booked Friday night off work for our gig. Like, how much more seriously can I take this? And it's like, way more fucking seriously, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be willing to do all sorts of crazy shit. So I think like there was a bit of a learning curve for us figuring out just like what is actually required to do this for real.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of take it to a more deeper kind of philosophical angle on the question, if you could give your beginning of MONOWHALES era self a piece of advice to help them get through some of the times that may have been more challenging than others, what would that piece of advice be?
No one cares about you. This is really not a big deal right now.
Yeah,
man.
like none of the shit you think is important right now is actually important. You haven't even gotten to the important part yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just let it go. Move on. Tomorrow's another day.
Yeah, I guess attached to that, I would tell my younger self to just like, in that same vein of not taking things so seriously, it's like, not in, like, don't be so sensitive. Like, let things, what's that saying about off your back?
Roll off your back.
Off your back.
Like water off a duck.
Exactly. Just like, it just because like it's so much heartache and baggage that gets attached if you don't. So if you're just able to let that go and find things that like help you do that, I think that I would have benefited from that, because I think that's yeah. And the same thing they're saying, like caring too much about things can hurt over time.
And it's good to see that you all recognize the fact that things back then weren't important and you aren't allowing yourself to get carried or held back by those things, and you're able to progress forward and do the things that you're doing now. Out of all the things you guys have done so far, and I haven't really asked this question to many people in a bit, and I kind of want to ask you guys this because you've definitely been on quite a journey from beginning to now. What's been a high, each of you can answer this, what's been kind of a highlight of the journey thus far?
Out of the journey, I just dug touring to a studio is like the close to the pinnacle of the shit that I want to do. Like, sure, like the shows could be bigger or the studio time could be longer or whatever. Like, there's still things we want to do past this, but getting to go out on tour and play a bunch of shows and then end up in a studio and like live there and make a record is like, that's like all I've been wanting to do my whole life.
Me?
Where's up?
I mean, again, I hate to always do this, like piggybacking on Jordan on that one for sure. But also I think something that's really gratifying is that we get to make, you know, music and then this art surrounding it, whether it's our videos or our photos and anything. And I love that, you know, at the end of the day, like when Daytona Bleach comes out, it's like this whole encompassing thing that we've created with the artwork and the like, everything is this like photograph of time, and to be able to like put sound and visuals to it, like that's to me one of the best things about doing this, is looking back and being able to like see something that came out of our brains, and you're able to take something from your brain and like make it a real thing that other people get to see. Like, that is the love of my life.
I still love playing shows and seeing people sing our songs, like seeing people just know the lyrics and being really excited about it. It's such that's what I was saying earlier, like that's the ultimate reward, is literally standing across from other humans and sharing that experience with them. They're stoked to, be a part of what we're doing, and we're stoked to have them and, create that experience with them. And turning on your car and your song being on the radio is always, you guys don't drive anywhere, but that's happened to me a few times the past few weeks, and it's always a pleasant surprise. Like, oh shit, that's my band. That's cool.
We enjoy the simple things in life, man.
Yeah.
We're not complicated people.
We just want to be on the radio and
have everybody love us.
Nothing wrong with that. You got to keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid method, the KISS method.
It's a good one.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to take our final music break right now, and we're going to hear a final word from our sponsor, Anchor, and then we'll be right back to finish this up. See you in part 3. All right, welcome back to part 3. Thank you once again to Anchor for sponsoring this podcast. I'm back with MONOWHALES. I'm curious about what you think the live industry is going to be after this, because I've asked a few different people their perspectives on, like, do you think we're going to be entering kind of a live show renaissance in which audiences, I don't know if you guys saw the trend of it, but especially in a secondary market like Oshawa, I've noticed the trend of attendance significantly decline over the past few years. Do you think more people are going to be excited to go out to shows, or is it going to be kind of a small group of people excited and then the rest of them are like scared because, disease and such? What are your thoughts?
And I fucking hope people are going to be stoked. I'm going to be stoked. I'm expecting some kind of a boom. just because I feel like most people, especially after all this time, are more willing to take risks to have a good time than they are to like remain cautious. And you can see it already in terms of people's willingness to even obey the existing, stay-at-home orders and stuff like that. It's like people, even at the worst of times like this, like people still aren't following these rules. So I feel like everyone's just going to flood back in, and there's going to be more attendance at shows. And I think it's up to the venues, which sucks because the venues are struggling right now, but I think it's up to the venues to like make sure the experience that are coming back to is a great experience so that they continue to come back after that initial period.
Mm-hmm.
And what about the formats that have been like really elevated throughout this pandemic? So the drive-in shows, live stream shows, everything along those lines. Like, do you think a lot of that stuff is going to carry over post-COVID, or is it going to be a significant less amount? Or
I feel like there's a lot more work to put in to create those events, and they probably cost a lot more money. I don't know to put them on. So, but I don't know. You guys?
I feel like it's not good.
I mean, I think that major artists make less money if they do live streams, I believe, unless they're able to geogate things. So I don't see like big artists wanting to do that, unless it's like a special event like Coachella or like a performance like that. But in terms of smaller, I think it's just changed things in terms of like people are more willing to be on camera live. Like before this, there are so many artists that I know and love who wouldn't do that. Even people like James Blake, who like don't ordinarily go live on their Instagram, who just like have, it's normal to them now, and you get to see them more. So even I think that's trickled down to like smaller artists where they couldn't be in a club doing their open mics and stuff. So it became a opportunity for people to be normalized to be like making music in front of a camera and doing that. So I think that's at least some of that is here to stay, and I'm happy about it. And I hope it continues to innovate as the platforms get better and people want more,
And kind of on the artist side, do you think a lot of the artists who are starting to do Twitch or these interviews or any sort of the shit like that, do you think it's going to carry over for them in terms of how they're going to operate their promotion campaigns or marketing campaigns, whether they're going to input more of that online interface into their strategy, or are they going to kind of revert back to, okay, cool, touring's back, let's just go on the road and post that, hey, we're on at 7, come see our band?
I think it depends on the artist. I think I've already seen people, at least I know in some countries in Europe you can tour, and they have options for people where you can either, and I was actually asked this by a fan, like, I hope that when you come to wherever it was, I hope that you have an option to not only play live, but you have a live stream. So I'm like, whoa, I didn't even think about it that way. And I know there's other artists doing it, but for the people who opt not to come, they want to be there too in their city. So I think that is a really cool concept to think about for the people who can't make it, and then you can still sell tickets. Like, it's definitely more work and more money to do that, especially if you're going to do it well, but I think that's a cool concept.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's gonna turn into, for the smaller artists, like if venues have the capability, it'll become like a freemium type thing, where like for someone like us, if we're touring Canada but we're beaming the shows out to Europe, like geogated to Europe, so like because we're trying to build a fan base over there but can't necessarily get there as much as we want to, it'll be like people who are over there that want to support us can like chip $2, or even like with more of a like live stream, like super chat kind of like, okay, I can pay some money, and there's going to be a tablet on stage where the band can see like I'm saying something to them, or I'm doing something, or my face pops up for a second. But it's like, it's got to be a low barrier of entry financially. But I think that could be a really cool way, for a band in our position to start getting our live show out to other markets, rather than the only way we can do that is through actually getting there physically.
I that's a concept that I've talked with a few different promoters about, especially in Toronto venues. Like, the biggest issue that's going to come about, I think, from trying to set up a live stream capability is the initial infrastructure to create said show. So whether it be a higher speed internet connection, a better interface to connect the sounds, the sound process is the same way, the type of cameras you're using, how many cameras you're using, what's the cost on the tickets, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just trying to figure out like where can venues find that infrastructure, especially when they have no ability to make money now. So
that's the issue. Is like you're not going to. I don't think a lot of venues are going to be able to do it.
Well, this is why it would be ideal that venues do it, like in an ideal world. But I think it is going to come down to the artist having, once again, to do that. And I guess bigger artists have that capability much easier. But that's the struggle. Is the smaller artists, it would be a lot harder to do that.
And what do you think the biggest challenge is going to be for when things open back up, especially for artists? Because one that initially comes to mind for me is I feel like, Jordan, you mentioned earlier kind of a boom like of the live renaissance, and I definitely agree something of that is going to happen. But I know like with all the venues that have been closing, there's going to be significantly less rooms available. And, you know, all the top agents are going to go in there, take advantage of the calendars early in advance. And a lot of these smaller artists aren't going to be able to book shows, or they're going to have to resort to good old DIY rec hall days, which I'm down.
Yeah, I'm stoked about that. I'm actually stoked about that. I think that's a good thing. It's going to suck, but I think it's actually going to force the creation of scenes in places where the scenes have died. And like, I'm kind of excited to see what comes about. Like, I would love to see the loosening of government regulations on like alcohol and stuff like that to make it easier for those scenes to come up so that DIY venues can operate without that constant threat. Because that's sort of what killed the scene in Toronto, is like all the all ages shows, all the all ages venues basically got shut down in the span of like a year or two while we were just coming out of high school. And like we were lucky. We got to like see it a little bit while we were still there, but then they just all went away. So I think there's way more bands willing to play and people willing to go and see those bands, but there's far less venues. I think people are you're gonna see like more house party shows and stuff like that. And I think that's probably a good thing.
Mm-hmm. You said it, like I'm with you 100%.
Zach, any thoughts?
He said it. I'm 100% with you.
He's a very great speaker, and he spoke well for us all.
Nothing wrong with that. It's good.
Yeah.
All right. I'll leave you guys with one last question. What's next?
Record dropping.
Daytona Bleach.
Soon.
Daytona Bleach.
March 5th.
2021. It's finally happening.
Will this air before then?
It drops Friday.
Sick.
Plot twist. Yeah, I'm recording this on Monday.
Oh, great.
Keep an eye out, because we'll be announcing a live stream variety hour, half hour event thing on release day. We're going to be giving away some prizes. We're going to be doing some really fun stuff. We might be eating some really spicy things. It's going to be super fun. So watch our socials for that.
Define spicy things.
Very spicy things. The things have not yet been determined, but the spice levels are high.
What's your favorite spice?
My favorite spice?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Back in September of last year, I got invited onto the Hot Wings Live thing. I don't know if any of you guys saw that. It was hosted by Greg Hatchett out in London. And I did that, and it was probably the worst mistake of my life.
I cannot wait to make the same mistake.
Oh, no, because he delivered the sauces, and like it was 8 different sauces, and the last one was Da Bomb, and Da Bomb destroyed my life. I was out of commission for like 3 days. It was really bad.
That bad?
I was vomiting live on stream.
Damn.
Like off camera.
This is okay. So if that is the case, you're really going to want to tune in, because we don't know what's going to happen to us.
Because I was talking to our buddy Phil, who's going to be running the live stream for us, and he was like, "What if it's too hot and you guys like physically cannot continue?" And I'm like, "Best live stream ever." Then yeah, that's best case scenario for everyone watching. Terrible for us, but great for everyone else.
Pretty much.
No, absolutely.
I feel like it's actually going to happen too. So we'll see you there.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Jordan, Zach, Sally, thanks for hanging out for me with a bit. I can't fucking talk. I am so tired now. Where can people find you and what you're doing?
Everything at MONOWHALES. At MONOWHALES everywhere.
Google us. We're the only ones.
Makes it easy. All right, y'all. I'll see you next week with a new episode. Take it easy.
Thanks, man.
Peace.